Memorialization. It's a big word with a broad definition, referring to the processes and practices that we use to preserve memories of people, places, and events. We see traces of memorialization throughout the Patapsco Valley and our daily lives. Manifesting in ways ranging from place names to monuments to material culture in our homes, memorialization expands far beyond the stereotypical associations with death. Memorialization also continues to spark current debates and controversy within our society. By exploring the ways in which memorialization occurs in the Patapsco Valley and how it has helped shape the histories and values we see in the region today, we can become more aware of the role memorialization plays in our everyday lives. Now, memorialization is often associated with death. In the past, a popular form of memorializing the passing of loved ones has been through things such as mourning jewelry and art made with the hair of the deceased. Today, obituaries, headstones, and memorial parks and gardens are more common ways of publicly and tangibly remembering someone's life. Intangible ways of memorializing people, events, and places include art forms such as music and poetry. However, death is not the only life event we memorialize. Weddings, births, graduations, these are all life events in which we engage in practices specifically aimed at remembrance. Guest books, photo albums, and other related ephemera all become materials that help us recall the way past events occurred and how they made us feel. On a broader scale, places and things can become the materials that we use to recall and make sense of the past. For example, places such as granite quite literally serve as reminders of the quarrying industry in the Patapsco Valley. Originally named Waltersville after Samuel Walters and his family, Waltersville developed after the fine-grained, softly pink-hued granite it would become known for was found at the Walters farm around 1800. By the 1830s, Waltersville became a commercial quarrying town. One of the most notable projects that used granite from the Waltersville quarry is the Thomas Viaduct, which helped create the B&O railroads and the nation's first rail link between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. By 1874, quarrying had come to define Waltersville, and the village changed its name to Granite in recognition of its principal product. The story of how Waltersville became known as Granite exemplifies how place names can serve as reminders of who and what has been significant to a geographic location over time. While the ways in which place names can serve to memorialize people and industry may not always be apparent, the broader implications of how memorialization influences contemporary society are significant. Debates surrounding memorialization continue to make headlines across the country. In particular, monuments memorializing the Confederate Army and Confederate soldiers have been a part of ongoing discourse. Many argue that these monuments glorify people that they don't identify or agree with, and question the underlying values these monuments were created to represent. As the majority of Confederate monuments were created between the 1890s and 1950s, with the largest spike in production occurring between 1900 and 1920, we can point to the close association of production of these monuments with the Jim Crow era of segregation to argue that they do not wholly memorialize the sacrifices of Confederate soldiers who died in the war. Rather, people see these monuments as glorifying the causes of the Civil War, one of which was to uphold white supremacy and slavery. The Patapsco Valley witnessed its own debate on the issue take place when a Confederate monument in front of the Howard County Courthouse became the topic of public discourse. Eventually, this monument was removed in 2017 and is now housed in the Howard County Historical Society's museum. Ultimately, the removal of the monument from the courthouse and its rehousing and reinterpretation point to a recent way in which the residents of the Patapsco Valley have wrestled with past memorialization in order to affirm contemporary community values. What are some ways in which you've noticed memorialization in your life and surroundings? How have you participated in memorialization practices at either a personal level or in a broader communal sense? What do you think are some of the values or meanings behind them? Comment and let us know. We may be able to explore some of your suggestions further in future shorts. Thanks again for joining us today, and stay well.